Assalamu alaikum, welcome back to Coding with T. Today we are going to learn how to create onboarding screen in Flutter. We are creating Flutter e-commerce application and currently we are in section 2. We already covered section 1 in which we learn how to configure, setup project, add helper classes and bunch of other things. In the last video of section 2 we learn how to set up splash screen in Flutter, how to remove it and how to customize it. Okay, now let's talk about the onboarding screen. Okay, let's run the application and you can see currently splash screen first, which we created in the previous tutorial for both light and dark modes, and same in today's tutorial we are going to create light and dark modes for onboarding screen. So first of all, you can see we have 3 type of pages and each page contains image, title and subtitle, and same in the second we have animation or the image, title and subtitle, and for the third page as well. So first of all we have pages. Then at the top you can see we have a fixed button skip, which is currently taking to the last screen, but at the bottom you can see we have navigation dots, and also we have this nice button over here. When we click on it we will be redirected to the home screen or the login screen. Let's turn it to the dark mode. Now you can see when it's switched to the dark mode it's working pretty fine. Okay, so let's get started. Open Android Studio. Okay, the first thing to do is go to assets. Inside the images I have added 3 images or 3 GIF files, which will be the animations. Inside the onboarding images, you can get these images from icons8.com or you can get the code from the description below. Next, go to pubspec.yaml file, and inside in the assets you can see we have to add the link of this folder. Right click on copy path reference and click on path from content root. Instead of images, now we have to create the reference of each folder. So inside the images we have this folder. All the files inside this folder will automatically be added using this /. Okay, once it's added, let's head back to the packages. Inside this we are going to add smooth page indicator package. Check its latest version and import it. Click on pubget to load all the new dependencies. Okay, once done, let's head back to features, and inside the authentication we are going to start coding. Inside you can see I have created a new folder called onboarding, and inside I have a simple dummy controller, and down below in the screens I have created an empty onboarding.dart. Inside you just have to create stateless widget. You can just write STL and click on it. It will create a class for you. You can name it anything, but we have onboarding screen, and inside we have a simple scaffold, and in the controller you can see again it's a simple class, but it's extending getX controller because we are using getX state management, which we have already added in the previous tutorials. If you're new, you can watch the playlist link in the description. And inside what we are going to do, we are going to create variables, update page indicator when the dot navigation is going to be clicked, change the current index and move to the next page, and when the skip button will be clicked, this function will be triggered. Currently these are the empty functions. Now let's head back to the design file and let's start the designing. As you can see, the first thing we need to create pages. Pages are not static, but at the top we have buttons, navigation dots, and the circular button is static. So to achieve this, we are going to use page views for the pages to swipe, and we will put everything inside the stack widget to stack or layout elements on top of each other. If you don't know what a stack, you can watch the Flutter crash course stack video. Okay, let's add body. We will add stack. Stack contains children's. Okay, inside the stack we have to create 4 things. We already talked about. The first one is scrollable pages, then skip button, dot navigation and circular button. To create pages or to create a swipeable pages, we have to use page view. Inside the page view, the first property we are going to use is children, which contains list of children's or list of pages. Let's remove this constant from the top. And now inside this page view, the first thing that we are going to create is column, because we have all the elements current stack in a vertical direction. The first thing is image. So as a children of the column, we need to create an image. Inside the image we have asset image, and to pass the asset image we have already added images in the T images. In the T images dot onboarding image 1, where we have added all these images. Let's go to T images. Let's head back over into the constants. And inside you can see inside the image constraints, I have just declared all the 3 images. To do that, go to assets, go to images, right click on that image, copy path reference and click on this path reference. Just create a variable and you just have to paste it over here. You can watch the last video of section 1 to know what's going on inside this constants or inside the utility. Once the image is added, I have already added a text strings as well for both titles and subtitles. Okay, so once we have that, now Control Alt L. Now inside this image we are going to add width. For the width we are going to use screen width. Go to thelper functions dot get the screen width and we will only use 80% of the screen width, so you have to multiply it with the 0.8, means 80% of the screen width. And same for the height, I will get the screen height and multiply it with the 60%, means the 60% of the height and 80% of the width. This image will have these dimensions. Let's add constant. Now our image is created. Okay, for the helper functions, let's go to the helper function. Again, I suggest you to watch the last video of section 1. Inside down below, you can see we have bunch of options: dark mode, screen size, screen height, screen width, and bunch of others. Okay, once the image is created, the next thing we want to create is a text. ttext.onboarding title 1, because the first one is the title. Now to use the theme which we created previously, we have to use the style property, and to apply the theme, we will use theme.ofcontext.go to text theme, and inside the text theme we are going to use headline medium. And the last thing is to align the text in the center. Use the text align property dot center, Control Alt L. So we have the title text. You just have to copy and paste it one more time. To add some space, we will write a sized box which will contain a height of sizes dot space between items. And for the t sizes, let me show this class as well. Again, it's inside this constants right over here, and inside the sizes you can see we have bunch of options. The one I am using is the space between items. If it's more or small, you can change it with these space sizes. And next down below, we are going to add onboarding subtitle 1. Its text theme will be body medium, and again it will be aligned as center. Okay, so the first page is ready. Control Alt L. To show the screen, let's go to app.dart, and as a home we are going to call our design screen, which is onboarding screen. Now let's run the application. Okay, as you can see, our application is running and we have an error which is null check operator used on a null value. To solve this error, as we are using getX controller, so we have to change this material app to get material app, and that's it. Our error should be gone now. Let's rerun the application, and in the screen you can see we have image at the top which is animating, then we have title and subtitle. Let's turn it to the light mode, and same, you can see the text has been changed just because we are using the theme over here, which is headline medium, and it's automatically deciding its own colors based on light and dark modes. And one more thing, let's wrap this column with a widget called padding, and for the padding we are going to use our default padding. Inside the sizes we have a space, default space, so this is a space we are going to use for the complete application. Save it, and you can see now we have spacing. Okay, to create multiple pages, instead of just copy and pasting this code again and again 3 times, let's right click, go to refactor and create a new widget, extract flutter widget, name it onboarding page, click refactor, and now you can see we have a page, but we need to define 3 things for each page: image, title and subtitle. Right above this function we are going to create 3 types of strings. Image is also a string, title and subtitle, and now we have to import this, add all as a required elements inside the constructor, and replace image with the image property. Remove this constant, title with title text and subtitle with the subtitle text. Now we have a separate class which requires image, title and subtitle. When we are going to use this inside this constructor, it's required. So whenever we are going to use this class, we have to pass image, title and subtitle, and these 3 things are set over here. Now at the top inside this function you can see the error, which means that we have to pass the image. Image has onboarding, then title will be from the text, onboarding title 1, and same with the subtitle, text dot onboarding title 1. Control Alt L to align the code. Let's add a constant at the top. We can easily duplicate it 3 times. You just have to change the text to 2 and 3 for the third one. Now let's save the code, and when we are going to swipe it, you can see text is changed, image is also changed, same for all the 3. Now let's head back and we will try to add rest of the things. First of all, let's add skip button. Because we are inside the stack, so we will use position widget to position all the elements. So child will be the text button, its on press currently null, and as a child of the text we are going to use the text widget, name it skip. So our button is created. Let's save and see where it appears. Currently it's not being appeared, but it's right over there at the top left corner. Because we are using the position widget, we have to first assign its top position. Go to device utils and get app bar height property. Let me show you as well. So it's a simple variable which is k toolbar height. You can directly use that as well if you're not using these files. And then we are going to make it to the right side. So right will be the default space. Now let's save it and you can see the skip button is right over here. Add a comma, Control Alt L. We can also extract this widget as a separate widget, because this button is not going to reuse. So just to clean the code, we are going to extract it, and we extracted two files over here down below. Inside the screens of, let's create a folder called onboarding. Now inside we are going to simply cut it and paste it inside the onboarding. Once refactor inside the onboarding, let's create another package or the folder. I'm going to name it as widgets, and inside these widgets we are going to paste these two things. So let's create a new file, onboarding underscore onboarding page .dart. Make sure it does not contain any capital letters or spaces. First import the material.dart and then paste the class. Import all the files. Okay, once imported, close it. Let's do the same for this button. Onboarding skip.dart, import material library, paste the code, add required imports, remove this comma, Control Alt L, and it's done. Now you can see we have to import that class as well inside this package. It's imported. Also import skip button. Okay, next we want to create smooth page indicator. We are going to use the smooth page indicator package. So first of all, let's add smooth page indicator. As a controller, for the time being, let's add page controller. The error should be gone. And then as a count, we are going to use 3 dots for 3 pages. Let's save it, and currently you cannot see it, but on the left top corner you can see we have 3 dots. So again, because it's inside the stack, so we have to wrap it with a position widget, because we want to place it at the bottom. So we will first add the bottom property. We will again use the device utility class t device utils dot get bottom navigation bar height, and we will add 25 more space in it. Let's save it, and you can see we have dots right below where we want. And then to add small space or the default space, we will use the t sizes dot default space from the left. Okay, now it's looking good. Now for the design, we have a property called effect, and you can see we have basic indicator effect, color transition effect, and bunch of other effects. But for this tutorial we're going to use expanding dot effect, and as a property, the first thing we are going to use active dot color. It depends, we have to use light and dark modes. So for now, let's make it colors dot dark, and we are going to reduce the dot width to 6. Add a comma. Yeah, I'm adding inside this position widget, sorry for that. Let's cut it. We have to add it inside the smooth page indicator. Let's paste it over here, Control Alt L to align the code. Add a constant, let's save it, and you can see the style. The first dot is active, which is selected. Dot height has been reduced, color is also changed. Now again, we first have to extract it. Onboarding dot navigation, extract it. And in here, to turn this active color to light and dark modes based on the modes of the screen. So first of all, go to helper functions, and inside is dark mode, or you can directly use theme dot of context dot brightness is equal to dark. If it's dark, we have the variable as a dark value true. If the value is dark, we have the value true inside this dark variable. So right over here, I am going to add dark question mark means if it's true. If it's the dark mode, I will use t colors dot light. And if it's the light mode, I am going to use the dark color. Let's remove the constant. Let's run the code. Currently you can see it's in the dark mode. Let's open the dark mode. Sorry, previously it was in the dark color, and now it's switched the color to the light mode. Okay, add a constant at the top. Let's extract it and shift it to the new class. Again, inside the widgets, create a new class, onboarding.navigation. Import the material.dart, and inside let's paste it. Import the required libraries. Okay, once done, let's import that new class inside the main class. Okay, next we want to add or to create a circular button. So again, to align, first thing we need to add position. As a position child, we want to add elevated button, and we will turn this elevated button into circular. First, let's add the position. First, I've added right and bottom position because we want to align it to the right side. So from the right we have a default space, and then let me also show you the default space, which is 24. Default space from the right side, and then get bottom navigation height, which is k bottom navigation bar height from the bottom. And now inside this elevated button we have to add the required properties. Currently on press is going to be null. As a child, this time we are not going to add text, but we will use the icon, and the icons we have added, which is the icons x dot arrow right 3. You can use any other icon, it's all up to you. Import this package, add a constant, Let's save the code, and on the screen you can see we have a nice square button with an arrow as we wanted. Next, to style the button we have to use the style property. Style some button, we will use elevated button dot style from, and the first thing we want to make this shape to circular, so we will use the shape property and we will simply call circle border, and that's it. Save it, and you can see it's turned to the circular button. Add constant, and if you again want to change the background color, because we have the primary color which is this color, you can see for the dark mode, but for the light mode, let me just switch it to the light mode, and in here you can see it's still a primary color, but I don't want to use that primary color as a background color when it's in the light mode. So let's add black color for here. And again, it's instead of adding dark mode utility, first thing we need to extract this as a separate widget. Go to extract clutter widget, onboarding next button, refactor. Now inside this widget build method, let's again add final dark device utils dot thelper functions dot is dark mode. If it is a dark mode, it's going to return true, otherwise false. Now let's add dark question mark. If it's the dark, we will use primary color from the colors class, and else we will use the black color. So these are the colors: primary, secondary, accent. This is a gradient. We are not using this gradient, but I just show you as an example. Let's remove this. Okay, now let's save the code. Currently we have the dark color. When switching to the dark mode, you can see we have a primary color of the button. Let's switch back. Okay, now our design is ready. Let's talk about the backend. Now to create a backend, the first thing we need to do is we need to get the instance of our onboarding controller. We will use the get.put method, import get.dart. Okay, and here you can see I have added get.put onboarding controller, which means that we are creating an instance of onboarding controller, which we usually create using a new keyword, new onboarding controller, because we're using getX state management. So that's why we're going to use get.put method. This put is going to create a new instance of this onboarding controller, and whenever later on we are going to use get.instance or get.find, we can easily get the already created instance in any other class, so we don't have to create new instance again and again. Now we have this controller over here. We will use this controller inside this class and inside the other classes. Now, first of all, let's open the onboarding controller. Once we have the onboarding controller already defined using get.put method, later on we can directly use onboarding controller.instance. This instance variable is simply calling get.findExec and returning onboarding controller. Okay, for the variable, the first thing we need to create is page controller is equal to page controller, and the next thing we need to get what is the current state of the current index. Current page index is equal to 0.obs. What is this? This is actually the observer, which is another widget which is going to change the design without using stateful widgets, right? So what is this? This is again an rx type of integer. You can write it in this way. You can write simply a final keyword. It's all up to you, because it is an integer, but it is using the rx type, which is the getX method, to define variables which can easily be changed and which state is going to be changed on the design as well. Okay, once the variables created, let's go to onboarding, and inside the page view as a controller we will pass the page controller. So use controller.page controller. This is the variable of the controller of the onboarding, and then inside we have created page controller over here. So we have to assign the page controller to page view to get to know what is the state of the page, which page is currently visible, and how many pages we have. And next we have another keyword when the page is going to be changed, either by swipe method. You can see when I am going to swipe, page is changing. So this change is going to trigger this on page change method. So simply use controller.update page indicator. You can also pass the index over here, but if you are not going to pass any index, it will automatically detect and pass the index, because when you hover over this on change, it is giving us some integer. So when we are going to pass this integer, we also have to create a function, but if we're not, it's directly going to pass the integer to this function. Now this function means that update the page indicator as well when the page is going to be swiped. So when I'm going to swipe this, you can see the page indicator is not moving, not changing. So what I want to do is when I'm going to swipe this, that function is going to be triggered and it should update this dot navigation as well. So on this update, I am just going to update the current page index is equal to index we have received from here. Next, for the dot navigation click, let's go back, go to the dot navigation, and inside the first thing we need to do is create the instance of the controller. So we have just created a simple controller. Inside you see we don't have to call again get.put, but instead we can simply use get.find, and in here onboarding controller dot instance. So this line is again going to call get.find. So most of the cases it's a best practice to keep the code clean. So copy this controller. Again in the smooth page controller we have to remove this page controller dot page controller, and next to this controller we have another method which is on dot click. When someone is going to press that dot, this function will be triggered, and we will simply call controller dot navigation click. Again it's going to pass us an index, so by removing this, that index will directly be passed to this dot navigation function. Now that dot navigation is clicked, the first thing we want to update is current page index dot value is equal to index. So what this value means, this current page index is actually an RX type. To get the integer updated or to get the value of the integer, we have to use the dot value sign. Again at the top we have to use the dot value. So we have the current index assigned to this current index, and next we want to shift this page controller or the page to, we will use the jump to method, and we will pass the index. So when the dot is going to be clicked, automatically our main screen will be jumped to that specific page. And now first talk about the skip button. Inside the skip button I directly added current page index to 2 because we have only 3 screens. First one is 0, then 1, and then 2. This means that directly go to the last page view and again jump the controller to the last screen. So this is going to keep the state, and this is going to jump the screen to the last screen. Let's head back, go to the skip button, and inside this we can directly call onboarding controller dot instance dot skip page. So this is going to trigger this function. Again you can see I don't have to again create a new instance of this controller, but I will directly write dot instance. We'll use the old instance and directly call this skip page. Now for the next page, let's go to the next button, and inside again we will do the same, call the onboarding controller dot instance dot next page. Now whatever we have to do on the click of this next page will be handled inside this next page. Okay, first thing we need to add if statement. If current page index dot value is equal to 2, which means it is at the end of the screen. We want to, let's say, direct our app to some other screen, maybe, which we are going to create in the next video, login screen. So we will simply call login screen over here, and that's it. But because currently we don't have any login screen, so let's comment it. In the else section, if it is not in the last screen, we want to simply move one screen at a time to the next screen. First we have to update the current page index dot value plus 1, and again we have to jump the page controller dot jump to the page we have created at the top. Jump to requires double, so we have to use jump to page, and we have to pass the page which is plus 1, which will be the next page of the onboarding screen, because we have changed inside this controller. So let's do the hot restart. Okay, so our application is running. Let's do the swipe, and you can see the bottom navigation is also taking effect. We have successfully changing the dot navigations as well on the swipe. Now let's try this skip button, and you can see currently it's taking to the last screen, but you can also inside the skip method, instead of going to the last screen or the last page, you can call login screen or the dashboard screen or whichever screen you want to use. So it's all up to you. Skip is also working. Now let's again test the next button. It is taking to the next screen, and then on the next, definitely currently it's commented, but it will take us to the login screen. So that's it for today's tutorial. I hope you learned something new. If you learned something new, please like the video. If you have any questions, you can ask me down below in the comments. Also, you can get the code from codingwitty.com. Link is in the description. Once again, thank you for watching. Take care. Allah Hafiz.